Welcome to In Focus. I'm your host, Yesenia Taveras. Did you know that the month of September is National Recovery Month for those battling mental and substance abuse? Joining us now is the advocate of recovery, Edwina Bell. Welcome.
Thank you, thank you. You've come such a long way. You are beautiful. Twinbee Brown will be proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Met you when you were 16 years
I know,
old, getting the
16 and
internship.
doing
God.
this.
And look what you have done.
Oh, thank you
Yes,
so much, Edwina. I
yes.
appreciate that. I can't believe now I'm sitting in this chair interviewing you.
Yes, isn't that something? Yeah.
We were just talking about earlier about Delaware and how small it is and the connections that we make through our life.
Yes. And so, you know, in Recovery Month, like you said, recovering from a 16-year-old to, I don't want to say your age now, but it prepares you for what God wants you to do. And so it's all about being prepared for your calling.
That's right, and being an advocate, like, because as we were mentioning, those who go through the journey, those who've gone through the obstacles, the struggles, and they have the leadership skills, they are the ones who are able to tap back into the market, into the community, and speak on the behalf of those who don't have a voice. Mm-hmm. And that's where you come in. That's where I believe you work with so many different agencies because you've been through so much. And you can speak about the recovery process from not an educational standpoint only, but also from, hey, I know what you're going through. I've been there. So let's talk a little bit about that, Edwina.
Well, the National Recovery Month is a program that was initiated years ago to let people know around the world, around the country, that people with substance abuse and mental illness do recover. Mm-hmm. And we need to celebrate those that have and are in the process of recovering and have recovered. Because one of the things that people need to have is hope. Mm-hmm. And celebrating a month of different activities, different programs, awareness, information can enable people to know that, wow, if they did it for those people, they can do it for me. So nationally, around the country, there's an event going on somewhere that celebrates recovery in general, those in recovery, those who are seeking recovery, and those who are willing to give back to help others to recover.
And I think it's a very important awareness month because, yes, we have the asthma awareness and the diabetes awareness month, but here we are celebrating those who are actually seeking treatment or have not sought treatment and are looking to recover or have recovered. This is big.
It's very big, and I'm glad you mentioned those other diseases, because even though there are those who don't believe that addiction and mental illness is a disease, but they are. Mm-hmm. And statistics have shown and research have shown that a person who induces different chemicals in their body creates an imbalance. Mm-hmm. And you never know what chemical reaction you're going to have with your machine, if you will, that has its own way of operating because of God's gift to us in this body of a machine. And so different tragedies, different things in a person's life can affect one's mental capacity. And so we've learned through research and data that it is a mental disease. Substance abuse actually is a mental disease, because when we look to deal with our issues, when we look to have a sense of belonging, most people want to celebrate with a substance. Mm-hmm. Because it's glamorized. Oh, have a drink, have a smoke, have a hit of this. Let's just celebrate. And people don't know that some of us are and have the addiction personality that's unknown to us. Mm-hmm. And so many of us with this disease cannot tell you when we cross that line of social using, social drinking, to addictive using, addictive drinking. And so by it being a disease, that has helped many of us, including myself, to erase the stigma that we are bad people. Mm-hmm. We do bad things. God is going to get you. How could you do that to your children? How could you do that to your family? But just like any other disease, it has its side effects. Mm-hmm. And our side effects is different than those with diabetes and cancer. Ours, we break out in allergies and fighting and crime and prostitution, right, and trying to get that next one to feed our addiction, feed that disease. And so when a person reaches that state of addictive using, there is no control, there is no willpower, And that's another stigma that people say, why don't you just stop? Why don't you just stop?
Right.
Well, I tell people, if you think you got that much power, try to stop breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can stop breathing for an hour, then you're good.
Yeah, because it overcomes you.
So addiction is that way. It's, you know, once you're afflicted with that disease, it's really hard to navigate and use common sense. Common sense is gone, willpower is gone, and some of our literature, it says we're under the lash of that disease. We're going to get it no matter what you got to do, who you got to do it to. We want you to feed that disease.
Right, and there is the misconception that it can happen overnight, but it doesn't. Just in the same way that the people who are battling mental illness or battling a substance abuse, this is something that happens over time, right? There's so many factors. You could be stressed at work. A family member could have died. There's so many factors that could have initiated one being to actually seek a drug or alcohol. People tend to think because alcohol is legal that that's not a substance abuse as well. But as we know, a lot of people who don't have access to health care, they use alcohol as a suppressant. And they use it as a form of medication. I'm gonna medicate myself because I need to just get the buzz to get off of whatever's happening in my life right now, or I can't believe my brother just died. How am I gonna do this? How am I gonna continue on with life? But here, in Recovery Month, we're showing them seek the treatment. There are resources out here. There are events happening within the community that's going to show you that, you know, treatment and recovery is possible, and here are people who live within our communities that can show you.
Exactly, and with this opiate and opiate addiction and epidemic that's going on, you know, we've learned through recovery and treatment works that those are the end result of deeper issues. The drug, the behavior, the attitudes, the ideas, the substance is an end result of deeper issues. And so if we're looking to help someone deal constructively and spiritually with what really ails them, to prompt them to do that behavior or to pick up that drink or drug, that's where we need to get to as a society.
Right.
You know, and that's where prevention is really, really important. But before we talk about prevention, which is definitely needed in order to stop the perpetuation of mental illness and drug addiction, you have to talk about intervention of those who are presently addicted. And so when we do come into treatment and get involved in Recovery Month activities, we begin to learn how to deal with what's really going on inside, not what's wrong with you, as Dr. Alvin Turner says so eloquently, is what happened to you. What happened to you? And so if we can get to the core of examining individuals and them doing an inventory of themselves as to say what happened to you to cause you to do that thing, then once we address those issues, that need or desire to pick up a substance or a chemical will be lessened because you're dealing with the real issues and not trying to escape from them.
And what are some of the things that these people are dealing with, those who are trying to recover?
There's a whole list of things. There's a lot more similarities than there are differences because, you know, they say there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to a human being. All of us have the same type of emotions. All of us have the same type of feelings. It's to what degree. And so you have some people who are better apt at dealing with feelings and dealing with fears and dealing with anxiety in different ways, shapes, forms, and fashions. And then you have those too who are so dramatic that, like you said, it didn't happen overnight. So when you look at an onion, and that's how I look at it, that the disease of addiction and all these issues is so like an onion. And when you get into recovery, when you get to the point where you say, I've had enough, and you present yourself to recovery, it's going to take a while to unlayer those layers of that onion to get to the core of what really started. So,
and that could take years.
Oh yeah, and it does take years.
It could take somebody 30 years.
No, it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime, because the idea is that, you know, we were not born to be a drug addict or alcoholic. Some people are under the impression that it's hereditary, it's this, it's that. But And what now? What am I going to do about my life? So once that person gets to the point of, look, I'm tired, I'm done, after suicide attempts, after prostitution, even after committing murder and all that, they come to a point where the student becomes so ready that they say, whoever they say you are, take me out this life and show me a better way. And they present that onion to whoever this force is that created us in the beginning. And in recovery and dealing with the recovery month events and issues, we target how to unravel those layers of onions. So whether it be whether it be domestic violence, low self-esteem, insecurity, fear, self-esteem, all those things. And guess what? All those things have sub layers.
That's right. That's right.
So when you talk about a lifetime journey, that's what recovery is. You're not recovered, you are recovering.
Right.
And it says that, we are brought back, we are loved back to recovery. It's unfortunate in our situation that some of us have to die in order for some of us to live. Some of us are constitutionally incapable of being totally honest with ourselves. And they are the less unfortunate. So those who are left behind get to learn from that experience.
That's right.
So all the activities that are going on around the city and nationally and around the world for Recovery Month is a whole lot of information where people can get help.
I was going to say, do you have a few that you could share with us that's happening in the community? There's so many, so we're going to we're going to share all of this on our social media platforms. Well, I'm going to share
the ones that are coming up here quickly. Life Worth Living, Hope Center for Community Empowerment. Here they're having their panel discussion, and it's a Women Get Real to Heal mini conference, where women come together to talk about the issues they're facing in recovery and how they can support one another. So we're going to have a mini conference on Get Real, Women Get Real to Heal. You have to be honest, to thy own self be true. So that's Friday, September the 21st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. That 2801 Lancaster Avenue. So it's called Hope Center for Community Empowerment, Friday, September the 21st from 6 to 8. And then we have, the churches have gotten involved. And it's important because the spirituality component is so necessary with people in recovery, because they say in recovery, no human power can relieve our alcoholism or drug addiction, but a God could and would if he was sought. And so 3 churches have gotten together, and it's the Overcomers, and it's Ezon Fair, Canaan Baptist Church, and Miracle Tabernacle. So they have a celebration day of recovery, and that's this Sunday, September the 23rd, beginning at 3:30. The doors open at 3 o'clock. But they will have a day of inspiration, food and fellowship, steppers, testimonials, and a preach word that said we do recover. So that's coming up as well. And then the 1212 Corporation, they're having their event on September the 28th, and it's a forum for adults and teens who are in recovery, how they bridge the gap to talking to one another. And that information is on the website, will be as well. And then the last one is Ministry of Caring, not Ministry of Caring, Spirit Life Ministry. They're having their closing ceremony for teens and parents. So teens and parents are coming together to bridge the gap, how families can learn to talk to one another, respect one another in recovery. So there's a host and a list of other establishments that are providing recovery.
And that's an important one, because sometimes you tend to forget. The focus is so much on the person who's going through recovery, but you tend to forget about those who are also affected. And so this opportunity is to allow the two to intertwine, to really see what each other are going through.
Exactly. And the other one, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's what happened in my family. I've been recovered 28 something years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was through divine intervention that I got the help, but it had a ripple effect with my children. So now I'm presently getting a doctorate in biblical studies just to learn more about the God who delivered me from underneath a parked car 28 years ago. the ripple effect was my son, he's a doctor now of 7 years, and he works with boys who were teased as a child like he was. My daughter has her own construction company, and she works with girls who were used for sex trafficking, because I almost sold my daughter for drugs and my addiction. So we go around collectively to talk about the family disease of mental illness and substance abuse, but also family restoration.
Wow.
But you say it's so important.
That's wonderful, because it takes a lot to just recover. But not only have you recovered, you're also going right back into the community where you were the abuser. And you're giving back, and you're showing them that there is a way out, and I can show you that way, and I can help you, and I can bring you to this entity or to this organization to provide you with the resources. And some of these resources are free.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, in closing, because the former RVRC, Rick Van Story Resource Center, we have launched our new name, Safe Space Delaware, and there they have a one-of-a-kind homeless shelter in the whole state of Delaware. And I have been working with them since June to, again, encourage the people who are there that you don't have to remain homeless. You don't have to be stuck on drugs and all that kind of stuff, and you can get the help that you need. So we are in the process of rebranding our organization to get the help that we need to continue the services that have been since 2006.
Wow. And before we leave, anything you would like to say to those who are recovering about this month?
Well, I just want to say that if you're recovering, please remember, there by the grace of God, there go I. And it's more about prevention for the new generation, because if we can reach our children at an early age, as soon as they can begin to understand, we need prevention, we need intervention, and if you do go all the way, there is also restoration. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, and now I'm found, was blind, and now I see. And I don't look like what I've been through.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Edwina, for your time, and thank you for bringing awareness to those who are in the recovery process. Thank you.
Thank you.
And also, on behalf of all of us here, we just want to tell those who are going through recovery, stay encouraged. Have the hope, like Edwina was talking about. It is possible, and seek treatment. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching In Focus. I've been your host, Yesenia Taveras. And on behalf of all of us here at WITN 22, thank you for watching.